guys, welcome back here to the Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys hanging with me a little bit and checking the video out. Guys, today I'm going to talk about the number one thing that you can do to generate a bite from a bass in order to make a fish bite. Sometimes you can make them bite, sometimes you can't. We're going to dig into that, but there's one thing that you can do over anything else that will really trigger a fish to hit, and so we're going to dig into that in today's episode here. Also, guys, a couple of our daily housekeeping tips to keep the lights on here in the little tackle room. Just want to remind you guys, if you're looking for some really good fishing line, if you're in the market for buying some, guys, try out this new Seaguar Carbon Ultra, man. This thing is absolutely awesome. It lays perfectly on your reel when you put it on there. Super strong, super abrasion resistant, super soft and supple. It's got like every quality that you would want in a fishing line. So I'll put the Seaguar Carbon Ultra in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. You can order it for that link there, guys. You will absolutely love this stuff. And also, guys, quick reminder that Solar Bat has still got their big 250th anniversary sale going on my Signature Series RB2 and RB3 glasses. You can get them at 50% off between now and the end of July, half price. Also, guys, if you use the promo code RandyB, you get free shipping and handling. We got 3 different frame colors, bunch of different lens colors, optical clarity second to none on these suckers. You guys will love them. And finally, guys, for get started, real quick, anybody interested in purchase anyone interested in booking an on the water private lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat, and shoot me a private message. Thank you very much for putting up with the plugs there. Really appreciate that, guys. Okay, let's have a conversation about this, guys, as far as what you can do to trigger a fish to bite. Now, first of all, we talk about this a lot on the channel, but I really want to sort of pound it into everybody's head here that rarely are you catching bass because they're actively feeding. And I've said it before and I'll say it over and over again, I think that most bass feed at night, where they're actively hunting. It's like when they're hungry and they're out looking for food, I think they're feeding actively at night. I think if you catch them during the daytime, a lot of times it's either opportunistic or there's other factors that contribute to actually generating that strike. Things like, competition, instinct, curiosity, reaction. There's a lot of different factors besides them just being hungry that will cause them to actually bite a lure. But there's one thing that you can do more than anything else that will trigger a strike, and that is you have to capitalize on this reaction element of a fish, where a fish reacts without thinking. This is the number one thing that is going to help you get more bites, is if you can get the fish to react to your lure. Now, a couple different ways you can do this. It's not just one thing. First of all, the number one thing as far as how to get a fish to react to a lure is how you manipulate that lure, the action that you put on that lure. And that's why when you're talking about like your retrieves, like, in terms of slow, medium, fast retrieve, stop and go retrieve, just a constant retrieve, erratic retrieves, there's a lot of different ways you can retrieve a bait, based upon the lure category. For example, like a jerk bait, you got the whole twitch pause, which basically can, mean a lot of different things. There's a lot of different, lengths that you can twitch it. There's a lot of different time frames you can let it pause. That's one element there. If you're reeling a bait like a crankbait, you got various speed of retrieves. You can make the bait react or slow down. You can pull it, you can jerk it, you can snap it, you can pause it. There's a lot of different things you can do to get that bait, to react, a little bit crazy looking. And the same with like a topwater. Topwater, you can fish it fast, you can fish it medium, you can fish it slow, you can stop it. I've seen times, guys, with topwater fishing where the only way that you could get a bite on it is to let it sit there for like 30 seconds without moving it, where the bait is just floating on its own, it's not even moving. And then all of a sudden, and I've seen them do this, guys, the fish will come up and they'll look at that topwater and they'll watch it like the wind just blowing it and floating it down like that, and eventually they can't stand it and they go up and hammer it. So there's a lot of different things that cause a bass to bite a lure, but that's the number one thing that you have to figure out, is how to get the bass to react to your lure. So the thing that I would recommend is, like, regardless of your lure category, I don't care if it's a plastic worm or a jig or a crankbait or whatever, you have got to constantly experiment with your retrieves, your cadence and your speed of retrieves, how you work the lure. Let's say, for example, with a jig, you got a lot of different options. You can just drag a jig along the bottom. You can shake it in one spot. You can hop it 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches, 4 inches, 2 or 3 feet even off the bottom. You can hop it. You can snap it. There's a lot of different ways that you can work any lure out there. So here is the tip and advice I'll give you. Once you catch a fish on whatever lure category that you're fishing, I don't care if it's a worm or a topwater or chatterbait or spinnerbait or whatever, when you know that those fish are in an area and you know that they're biting, say you catch a couple on a spinnerbait and you know they're biting a spinnerbait, that is the perfect time to experiment with how to get more and bigger fish to react. So let's say, for example, you're catching some fish on a spinnerbait and you're just throwing it out there and you're just, reeling it with just a medium retrieve, something like that, and you catch a couple fish. Start trying something different. Start speeding it up a little bit. Start slowing it down. Start twitching it. It's like start reeling it 3 or 4 cranks and snap it with your rod tip like that. Experiment with the reaction part of it, the speed of retrieve. And then other things you can do to get the fish to react to a bait a lot of times is to change your lure color or your profile of your lure, because sometimes they are really keyed in on a certain size. It can be whatever. It can be a 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch lure. Sometimes they want a perch pattern. Sometimes they want a shad pattern. Sometimes they want a translucent pattern. And a lot of times just making those minor adjustments with your lure color and profile will get those fish to react to it. But by far, one of the things that you really have to incorporate in your fishing is wrist manipulation. And wrist manipulation in terms of getting a bass to react to that lure. Let me give you one other example here and I'll wrap it up without making this video last forever. I was fishing a tournament at Lake Champlain years ago, jerkbait fishing up there for smallmouth. And water was gin clear in this, area I was fishing. And the last day of this tournament, it slicked over, and it was literally like fishing in a swimming pool. It's like there wasn't, you could like look down and you could see the bottom in 15 feet. So when you're through that jerkbait out there, you could see it coming back to the boat most of the time, unless you casted it way out there. But anytime I got that jerkbait to within about 20 to 30 foot of the boat, I could see it perfectly, and I could see these smallmouth following it. And almost every single cast that I made, I'd pull up 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 smallmouth, and they'd be swimming in a school following that jerkbait. And I was using a jerk, pause, jerk, pause, and they were looking at it. Some of them would get that far from it, but they wouldn't bite it. So what I did is I said to myself, they are interested in this thing. What can I do to get these fish to react to it? So next couple casts, what I tried is once that bait got about 15 or 20 foot from the boat, and instead of that jerk, pause, I just snapped it hard. I go boom, just super hard like that. I mean, I jerked it almost as hard as I could jerk it on my spinning rod, and that jerk bait just took off like that. And those smallmouth had come up and freaking hammer it right then. That super fast reaction from that jerk bait, I guess they thought it was getting away from them, caused those fish to react. And that's just one situation. Sometimes it's the other end. Sometimes they want it slowed down. So I've seen that with big swim baits. Sometimes they want a big swim bait super slow, or topwater super slow. Sometimes they want a plastic worm dead sticked on the bottom for 20 seconds. So that's one of the reasons bass fishing is so tough, guys. It's like I talk all the time about bass fishing is the toughest sport in the world, and that's one of the reasons is because you don't really know what's going to trigger that strike a lot of times. But that's the number one thing you can do, guys, is you can generate a strike from a bass more than any other time, any other situation, by figuring out the reaction that they want to, go for any particular given day. So anyway, I hope it helps out. We'll talk later.